Need to present in Teams. Welcome, everybody. You can probably see the system is loading. Here we go. We get a nod from everyone that you can see the screen. Thank you. All right. Welcome. My name is Kylie Newey and I'm the Director of Policy and Workforce Planning at Jobs Queensland. Welcome to everybody online this morning. We would like to thank our speakers. We will go through and one speaker will hand over to the next to try and make it as seamless for you as possible this morning. Before we kick off, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander traditional owners and elders of the lands and seas in which we meet, live, learn and work. We acknowledge those of the past, the ancestors whose strength has nurtured this land and its people, and who have passed on their wisdom. I would also like to acknowledge those present for their leadership and ongoing effort to promote Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their cultures. We acknowledge those of the future who will inherit the legacy of our efforts. To assist you with the information gathering today, this session is being recorded and we will provide a link to the recording as well in coming days, as well as also the presentations that everyone goes through with you. There are QR codes on the bottom of the screen, so do not feel pressured to write notes and frantically try and capture everything. It is being recorded and we will share the information with you. There is also a question and answer chat up in the top of your screen if you need to ask anybody questions, and we will try and answer them toward the end. We will provide an opportunity for people to ask questions as we go. So we'll hand over to Ellie, the Manager of Workforce and Industrial Relations from Local Government Association of Queensland.
Many thanks, Kylie. And also thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your schedule today to come to learn more about workforce planning. In recognition of the partnership that we have now between the Local Government Association of Queensland and Jobs Queensland, we have arranged for several speakers, guest speakers, to step you through the benefits of workforce planning today and guide you to the free tools and resources that can support you in your future workforce planning activities. These resources are aimed at small businesses in your regions, but you can access and use all of these free resources and training on offer for the benefit of your council as well. Next slide, please. Kylie, thank you. To support local government and your broader business ecosystems, the LGAQ and Jobs Queensland, the partnership is assisting councils in 3 areas. So the first is anticipating the future skills needs in Queensland regions, and this is something we've been talking about a lot across our councils. 2, build the workforce planning capability of businesses in the region, so important not only for the businesses but also for our councils who are starting to look at that for their own individual workplaces. And number 3, supporting regions to build their workforce planning capability. There is going to be a lot of opportunities to support local government in this space throughout 2024 and for you to learn and be more involved in this space. We really thank you for your time and hope that by sharing the information with you today, that we're starting a new journey of collaboration. I hope the key messages that you take away with you this morning is about the importance of also thinking long-term about your own workforce and beginning that process now. There's lots to cover, and there will also be a QR code on the screen for you to connect with all of today's speakers if you'd like to follow up. And now I'm going to hand over to you, Kylie. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. So we will start getting into the content of today's session. I did want to, before we dive into information about workforce planning itself, I did also want to take the opportunity to talk to you about anticipating future skills, which Ellie touched on. Jobs Queensland's Anticipating Future Skills series does provide employment projections by region, industry, occupation, and also qualification levels. The information is publicly available on the Jobs Queensland website. And it's available at the SA4 level. So our modelling does suggest that an additional 207,000 workers will be needed in Queensland between 2021-22 to the 25 to 26 financial years. That's an anticipated growth of about 7.6% during that time period in those 5 years. Noting that the figure does not include replacement demand, which usually does increase the need of new workers. And that's about people leaving the industry due to things like resignation, retirements, that type of thing. Each region's growth pattern is different, but I can tell you that the region anticipated to experience the largest growth during that time period is the Wide Bay region. But if you're really curious about what your region's or industry is anticipated to grow, please just jump on the Anticipating Future Skills or the Jobs Queensland website to have a look. It does update annually, so even though the data is there at the moment, it will change later in the year as we go through another testing and validation process. It is a cyclical process. So do touch base when you're doing your planning to have a look at what is the most up-to-date data. Now to get into workforce planning, which is the exciting part and why everyone's here today. I wanted to touch base just about Workforce Planning Connect. They are free tools and resources that are available on the Jobs Queensland website for small businesses to do their own workforce planning. It does have a 4-stage process and all the tools and resources are completely downloadable. You can put your own logo on there if that's something that you're wanting to have a look at. So I'll get into a little bit more detail about what's available when it comes to Workforce Planning Connect. As I said, they are free resources. They're based at the organisation level and people who want to undertake their own workforce planning. There's a workbook, which is on the left, the toolkit, and there's a whole bunch of templates that you can download off of the website. So you can fill in all of your details. There's resources for you, information. There's space there for you to fill in the details of your business as well. And lots of businesses say that they can feel intimidated by the process and sometimes they don't know where to start. So if that's you, please be assured that there's plenty of services that are available to assist you. Everyone's here to give you information about those services today, which are based on using Workforce Planning Connect. So there's plenty of people to help. Please just reach out. So let's talk you through basically what workforce planning is helpful for. So the resources were developed with micro, small and medium-sized enterprises at the front of mind. So even if you have a business that is 1 person, 3 or 30, or perhaps even more than that, the Workforce Planning Connect tools and resources can assist you. We do know that a lot of businesses are really unfamiliar with workforce planning or they're not entirely confident in that area. So with that in mind, the process detailed in the tools and resources are actually designed to help those businesses that aren't familiar with the process. So it's really good for people who are in a position to build their knowledge and capability in that workforce planning space, who have a need, sometimes that urgent need to respond to change in their workplace. And that could be because someone has resigned, or you've won a really big contract, or you're just introducing new machinery. Workforce planning is helpful for you. It's also helpful for businesses who might want to explore the opportunities of expansion or they're experiencing growth. It's also really great for those who are ready and willing to look at the future of their business and to ensure that their workforce is positioned to underpin that success. And I can see Andrea is dropping in links to Workforce Planning Connect as well. Thank you, Andrea. So the benefits of workforce planning is really about SMEs say they often don't have time to plan. They're really focused on working in their business and they don't actually pause to work on their business. So I really want to highlight that the benefits of workforce planning so that you can understand what they are. And generally they're categorized into 3 main areas. The first is around financial. The second is about the benefits for your business. And the third is about that workforce space. So when I talk about financial benefits, it's things like linking your workforce initiatives to your finance and your business planning. Now, if you don't have a business plan, please do not panic. One of the speakers will actually touch base with you about what you can do to get some free access to some free training and some services in that space. Other financial benefits can be around things like reducing your employee turnover and your recruitment expenses, particularly around in times like now where there's a constrained labour market. You don't want to have employee turnover. You really need to be thinking about ways to retain the workforce that you have. Business benefits can really be about responding to strategically to some change happening around you, or identifying and managing people that are really critical to the effective and efficient running of your business. And workforce benefits, when I say things like that, it's around planning for new and emerging skills or roles, and really making sure that you're engaging with the workforce that you have and increasing their job satisfaction. So there's plenty of benefits to doing workforce planning. And you really need to think about how workforce planning can benefit your business, but it does work best when it's integrated into your business planning. But as I've already touched on, if you don't have a business plan, there is plenty of opportunity for you to get one of those as well and organise that. So it will help you ensure, workforce planning will help you with making sure that you have the right people at the right time at the right place, and that they're also doing the right things to help you achieve your business goals. So it's really important to remember that workforce planning is also a dynamic process. So it's not something that is a set and forget process. It really is a cycle that you should be occurring regularly along with your business planning. We recommend that you do it annually. Some businesses say, "Oh, I don't have time." You can just do it as you go, and jot down the changes once you've established your first workforce plan. It can be as simple or as I guess I wouldn't say complex, but as thorough as you need it to be. So Workforce Planning Connect will help you think about the strategies and the actions to resolve some of the challenges that you're facing in your business. And that might be things like developing the skills of your existing workforce. It could be about attracting new employees in your business, retention of your key employees in your business. And these might be really highly skilled roles that you really need in your business, because it would cause a lot of disruption if you lost them. And also thinking about managing that business change. So sometimes this isn't about growth. Sometimes it's really about contracting in size and managing the people out in a planned and considered manner. Sometimes businesses, employer looking at retiring, workforce planning can help you through that process as well. So I hope that I've really provided just a brief overview of the tools and resources that are available as part of the Workforce Planning Connect. There's a lot more information that I could go over, but I wanted to give as much time to the other speakers as possible as well. So I will hand over to Kelly Kerwitz, and she will talk you through the Industry Workforce Advice Program.
Good morning. Thank you, Kylie, in the driver's seat there for me. So as Kylie said, I am talking to you this morning about the Industry Workforce Advisor Program and the support that they provide to small to medium employers across Queensland. So the Industry Workforce Advisor Program was established as one of the key initiatives under the Queensland Workforce Strategy, which was born in August 2022. So there are 5 focus areas under the Queensland Workforce Strategy, and the Industry Workforce Advisors talk to 2 of those. Predominantly it is the workforce participation, and it is action 1.1 of 33 actions that sit underneath the current Workforce Strategy Action Plan. So there are 11 industry workforce advisors that are established to assist, as I say, small to medium employers to address what are their workforce challenges to ultimately achieve their business goals. Thank you, driver. So the support that is available, what does that look like? So it is tailored assistance. So the industry workforce advisors are armed with an incredibly diverse and robust toolkit of access to resources, connections. Some of those you'll hear about this morning, programs to essentially impart that information and provide the connections. So you might be able to identify what some of the challenges are that you're having, but if you can't see the forest for the trees often. So the IWA is effectively former navigation service. So they're really well armed, well informed And, you know, it is such a dynamic space at the moment in terms of the support that is available. So, you know, they're attempting to keep across everything, and we're constantly emailing them with new information so that as they're going out and having conversations, employers are getting the most current information. So here's a bit of a snapshot as some of the dot points here. So engaging with HR specialists, looking at recruitment strategies, having a look at innovative approaches. And one of the benefits is the IWA is speaking, you know, one-on-one as well as with clusters of employers. And, you know, the more information they hear, the more you're able to impart other ideas and share that information as well too. So it's really increasing the ideas toolbox. So wherever possible, we look for products, programs, initiatives that are available at no cost to employers and direct them towards there as the first point of call. There is also access to a HR support grant. So an industry workforce advisor will determine if the HR project that employer needs is in line with the program eligibility for a HR support grant. They can guide them towards that process as well. But each employer will have worked with the industry workforce advisor, first of all, to have identified their workforce challenges and developed a documented workforce plan. The IWAs do use the Jobs Queensland Workforce Planning Connect toolkits and guide employers through using those. So the action plans that come out have been developed through that toolkit. Thanks, Driver. So here's a bit of a look at the industry areas that are covered. I don't know if you can see down the bottom under the transport and logistics, I have got a little small asterisk there. So against business and information communications technology, so the Australian Computer Society, ACS, will actually respond to other industries that aren't specifically identified. So if you do have employees that sit, for instance, within the building and construction industry, they can reach Eleanor at ACS and she will be able to provide that support. So what I've provided you there is a map of Queensland to show you at the moment the distribution as at the last data download, which was the 30th of April, as to what the regional distribution looks like. Now, the IWAs do have a collective target and a minimum requirement of 50% delivery to be outside of our department's metropolitan southeast region, and that's to ensure that those employers in regional Queensland are receiving that support as well. So what you'll see there is that the clustered numbers that sit within the region, it's not by postcode. You could imagine that there would be much more dispersed, you know, across Queensland. Just wanted to point out there that that's not exactly where they are. That's just clustered by region. Okay, thank you, Kylie. So here's a bit of a building on from the 30 April download. This is a snapshot of the industry workforce advisors in terms of their collective progress. So 937 businesses had been supported, and that is going back before about what does workforce support look like. It's the tailored conversation. It's starting those conversations about what are the pain points, where do you need to be, do you have the resources you need, and what do you need to do to get there. 547 of those employers had gone ahead and developed their documented workforce plan, and 446 of those had been supported to apply and receive the HR support grant. Now, the industry workforce advisors are not able to complete a grant on behalf of an employer. They talk to them about the program, their eligibility, and guide them towards the process, and then step back. What their hands-on part is the development of the workforce action plans and identification of solutions. There is a collective target of 1,800 plans to be developed across the 3-year delivery period until the 31st of December 2025. Thank you, Kylie. So here we are. This is just a bit of a snapshot as to where we are at the moment. A bit of you know, what's happening in this space and what are the IWAs reporting. So no surprise at all that employer busyness is a genuine barrier. And this is the value that the IWAs are bringing. They are there as a resource and as a human who's going to support that process. And hopefully, you know, ease some of that burden. That's the main aim. And so attraction and retention, would be, I guess, the term that most employers would be able to say that they identify that they are the workforce pain points, but it actually looks quite different across industries. So this is the benefit again of the industry workforce advisors sitting within those industry and peak associations to be able to really, hone in and devise some action plans and strategies that are industry specific, and the IWAs have the advantage of knowing in depth about the industry challenges. So I won't go through each of those in detail. You can read that and this will be shared. But it's really great to see that, employers are interested in retention, really looking at those different ways that they can add value to their workforce, and investing in them in terms of their development is definitely a part of that. So the IWAs do make a lot of referrals across some of the programs that you will be hearing about this morning. They are very big fans of the next guest speaker who's coming in behind me, which is also wonderful. And the department's mentoring program is still very robust and going strong, and something that is of great interest to lots of employers. And again, like the outcome. So interested really in hearing about alternative ways that other employers are structuring, even a work week, just providing what seems like a simple solution, but is beyond the reach if you are swept up in the day-to-day business. So the openness to flexible work and rewards that are not financial is actually of really great interest to most employers. I understand that most are fairly restrained in terms of surplus funds to be able to look for something that sits outside that remuneration. Thanks, Kylie. And how to connect. So there is the QR code there on the screen that will take you through to the Business Queensland landing page, where you'll see a lovely photo and direct contact details for each of the industry workforce advisors. And that is one of the benefits that I will just say that they've reported, is that they are a actual human on the end of the phone and a direct go-to. And for each of the referrals that they make, we look for the same connection for them, and that has been a great success. And we could have a quick look at that clip if that works on your end, Kylie. Kylie there? Hello? Sorry, Kylie, I can't work out what's happening on my end. Is that video playing? Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Kylie. So that was the ACS IWA Eleanor, and a employee that took up the program quite early in the piece, and it's such a beautiful story. Now, I wanted to just be able to add a little bonus today to the presentation. So in addition to the Industry Workforce Advisors, really pleased to announce that on Wednesday, the Queensland Small Business Strategy was released. This is absolutely hot off the press. And a bit of a snapshot. I'm sorry, it's possibly the least engaging, but we have lots of information here that we think is relevant of interest. So again, I won't go through it all for you today, just to let you know that there are 20 odd actions that sit underneath the small business strategy. You'll see what some of the 4 key focus areas are there. And one of those does include the extension to the HR support grant that we did mention earlier. So that will be extended for an additional 12 months. So I can direct you towards the small business strategy link, and then you can read in further detail about what that looks like. And it is brand spanking new. So enjoy. Thank you very much for your time, Kylie. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Dr. Wayne Graham, who is with UniSC, who's going to add even further value by talking to you about business and workforce planning courses that the IWAs love so very much and have also done themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and I certainly endorse strongly the Industry Workforce Advisors, so please connect with your relevant industry. They're fantastic. Eleanor is just a wonderful resource for you to access, but also right across the team. We're big champions and advocates for IWA, so thank you so much. But look, there's so many options available for workforce planning. That's the really exciting thing. So thanks everyone for joining in this webinar. Here's just another option, right? So all the options we've been talking about, they're all free. They're all funded and made available by the Queensland government, specifically the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training, but also along with Jobs Queensland. And therefore, in partnership with the fantastic support provided by the Local Government Association of Queensland and, of course, Business Chamber Queensland. So you can take the concept of workforce planning, you can reach out to an industry workforce advisor, you can access all of the resources on Workforce Planning Connect on the Jobs Queensland website. You can work through this at your own pace, or you can get alongside shoulder to shoulder with a workforce advisor, or you can do a free course. So that's where the university has partnered with all of these fantastic organizations to provide the opportunity for a free course. So we have funding now for 4 courses. I'm going to walk through each of them today, but with a relative emphasis on the top 2. So workforce planning for business. This is a course ideally suited for those who are micro or small business. Then there's the regional workforce planning for regions course. That one's more suited to those perhaps working in local government, perhaps they're stakeholders of regional jobs committees within regions across Queensland. The business planning course, that is a course ideally suited to micro and small business owners and managers. And then continuity planning course is our 4th course that we offer. And it's more toward the medium to large sized organisations. So let's have a closer look then at the workforce planning courses. So as I mentioned, it's funded by the Queensland government. We've delivered the workforce planning for business course in 2 regions so far, in the Moreton Bay local government area and the Sunshine Coast local government area, both of which of course fall into Desbot's North Coast region. And we've just received further funding to expand the workforce planning for business course, which is delivered over 7 weeks. And interestingly, now there are 2 streams. So Kylie earlier talked about on the Workforce Planning Connect resources, there's a workbook that you can access, and that's mostly suited to the small to medium-sized businesses. But then there's a toolkit, a bit more robust and a bit more challenging information, but also highly beneficial to the larger organizations, particularly the human resource or people and culture consultants, but also anyone in a region with a real interest in building a workforce plan for their business. And then the second course now is specific to helping organisations come together and develop a regional plan. So again, Kylie mentioned that with Jobs Queensland's research, that anticipating future skills drilled down to the local regions is such a fantastic way that regions now can access this data and start to put together a bit of a snapshot of their region, get to understand the labour market and the supply and demand dynamics that are occurring within their region, and therefore be really well prepared to then go on and craft a customised regional workforce plan. So I don't know anywhere in Australia where this is happening. So it's really cool that Queensland can be on the front foot to assist not only organisations but now regions. So all of our courses, they are what we call high flex, and that means they're delivered simultaneously on site and online. So we work with our funding providers through the agreements to work out specific locations, and we go right across Queensland. But that means that anywhere in Queensland, any business, depending on the timing of the courses, can participate online. Or just like you can access the resources through the Jobs Queensland website, Workforce Planning Connect resources, you can also study this course through the university at your own pace. If maybe you can't attend the classes that are made available at specific times of the day. They're offered free, as I mentioned, to Queensland business owners, managers, human resource professionals, but also local government employees, especially those in economic development, and their stakeholders, and of course would include regional jobs committees stakeholders. The whole idea of the course is some people just prefer to be in a more formalised training environment in order to learn about workforce planning. So it's just another option that we make available. And the other thing, because it is a university, we take and have grounded and have used as a core of our curriculum design all of the resources on Jobs Queensland's website, but we also add to that some of the recent findings from the research around workforce planning and business planning and continuity planning. And because of that, we've been able to design the course as a micro-credential postgraduate course. That means that if you complete the course and you submit the 2 optional items of assessment, they're not mandatory, and we've noticed that about 1 in 5 take this option. And if they do, that means they receive feedback from their workforce plan, for example, or they receive feedback from their draft business plan. And with those submissions, the 2 items of assessment that you would do per course, and that's according to the Higher Education Act, then because of all that, you would receive 1 course elective credit toward our university graduate certificate in business administration. This does not require an undergraduate degree. So if you don't have an undergraduate degree, you can come along, do a free course with us over 7 weeks. You can access all the resources on the Jobs Queensland website. You can hear about the fantastic material available through Business Chamber Queensland, who Louise will talk about in a moment. And with all of that, you can develop your own workforce plan that is relevant, meaningful, and therefore a fantastic tool of change for your organisation. But at the same time, you can have a pathway to further education. And of course, as I mentioned, if you don't have an undergraduate degree, you can get straight into a postgraduate certificate, and that's taken 1 out of 4 courses in that program or that degree. Now, if you do have an undergrad certificate, you can put that credit toward a Master's of Business Administration if you would like to. So that's kind of an overview of the workforce planning for business course. So here's just a summary and the locations I wanted to point out for the rest of 2024. As I mentioned, it's free. It's 2 hours a week over 7 weeks. We'll be running these usually of a morning. That seems to be from the feedback that the hours that work best for those in business are kind of post-school drop-off, but nice and early in the morning where we're fresh and not distracted by the multiple inquiries coming through to the business. And as Kylie said, it's a really great place to begin this mindset, this new transformation of working on your business, not in your business. And formalized training obviously is a really good way to do that. So as I said, online anywhere in Queensland, but if you are a local of Cairns, we'll be starting the Workforce Planning for Business course in Cairns in a few weeks' time. Then we go to Ipswich and then on to Fraser Coast. Kylie mentioned earlier that the Wide Bay Fraser Coast region is a real red hot workforce labour market dynamic area. So many things happening there around manufacturing and the revitalisation of tourism and such wonderful natural assets in that region, but also such a strategic position in the state that there's some fantastic things happening in that region. So it's only natural that we're going to Fraser Coast and then down to Gold Coast, where there's also large growth, and many economies like Gold Coast, like Sunshine Coast, like Brisbane, like Ipswich, historically have been driven by population growth, but we know that that's changing as we're becoming more diverse. We have to be more clever with attracting and retaining our staff. So there is a short video here from Amanda, who's based on the Sunshine Coast, who's already completed the course. So we might hear from Amanda. Yeah, great business, the Wild Horse Mountain Turf Farm, also supplies of turf to the Gabba, interestingly. So that's fantastic, and just one example of many businesses. We've had almost 2,000 business owners and managers participate in one of our courses. And of course, that's just much less than 1% of the total number of businesses in Queensland. So there's lots of work to do. Let's move on now to a business planning course. This is our third course. So we've had the workforce planning for business, workforce planning for regions, and now Kylie alluded to this earlier when was talking about a workforce plan works better when it's aligned to and is really an advanced thinking of an established business plan. So the good news is there's a free business planning course that you can enroll in, either online or if you're out in Toowoomba. We'll be starting out in Toowoomba in a couple of weeks. We'll also, so on Tuesday mornings, we'll be in Toowoomba, and then in the afternoon, we'll be in Esk. So the Somerset Regional Council reached out to us and said we'd really like to have this in our region, and so we've had fantastic registrations coming through. But wherever you are in Queensland, you can either join us at 9 a.m. or 2 p.m. on Tuesdays in a couple of weeks from now. So the business planning course helps micro and small businesses. To be eligible for this course, you do need to have a full-time equivalent workforce of 20 or less. And we started off this was our first course actually. We started off, it's only natural that you start with a business plan and then work on a workforce plan, but you don't have to. We've had successful participants do the opposite, in fact. Nonetheless, we started about 4 years ago in the Moreton Bay local government area, and then within a couple of years caught the attention of the Queensland government and then expanded it. As I mentioned earlier, we simultaneously deliver on-site and online. It runs for 7 weeks for 2 hours a week. I've mentioned those next couple of dot points. So I've also mentioned that you can get 1 course credit if you were to participate in this course as well. So we've had participants do the business planning course and then the workforce planning course, both successfully submitted their assignments, received feedback on their business plan, that they've gone and implemented that into their business. They've increased their profitability. They've increased their level of the size of their business through employing people. They've developed a workforce plan, they've implemented that, and they've gone on to do further studies. So they got 2 course credits toward a graduate certificate, and without an undergraduate degree, they just do 2 more courses with us and get a postgraduate qualification. We also help, of course, the HR grant was mentioned earlier. We also help with other grants. So the Business Basics grant, for example, up to $5,000 available right now that's not co-contributed. And through the course, we always point to those grant opportunities. Best to get a grant, you don't have to pay it back, rather than a bank loan where you not only pay it back, but on their terms and with interest. So our last opportunity is the continuity planning course. We're just wrapping up this course on the Sunshine Coast. We've also provided the course in Moreton Bay, and very similar to the other courses in their format and the approach and the content, only this time the assessment items that are optional are a scenario. We do a scenario, actually get a draft version of your continuity plan, and we do some testing and rehearsing. And so we call that a scenario interview. And then participants submit their continuity plan for feedback. And unfortunately, there's lots and lots of live examples week on week where we're getting the need for businesses to adjust to continuity and critical incidents like cybersecurity. Ticketmaster's the latest one now in the last 48 hours. But there's been lots of events, floods, fires, cyclones, and so on. So we want to help businesses be prepared for those circumstances. So I think final slide is, here's where you register. Here are the 4 courses. They're all open for registration. Continuity planning has just moved into an expression of interest phase at the moment, but the other 3, workforce planning for business, workforce planning for regions, and also business plans. Business planning is still open for registrations. That's it from me. I'd now like to hand over to Louise from Business Chamber Queensland.
Thanks, Wayne. My name is Louise Hauser. Thank you for the opportunity to share some information with you today about Workforce Evolve. So I've just very recently joined the Workforce Evolve team as the project manager, and going forward, we'll be working with our workforce coach, Isabella Crombie-Tate. So I'm just going to be referring to my script just to make sure I don't miss anything. So the program is funded by the Queensland Government Workforce Connect Fund and delivered by Business Chamber Queensland. As the other programs you've heard, Workforce Evolve is completely free and open to all employers in Queensland. It's designed to provide employers with access to tailored fit-for-purpose support to empower them to achieve future-ready, sustainable and inclusive workforces. And it does this through supporting employers to rethink their recruitment and retention approaches to appeal to a wider segment of job seekers and retain them in the future. And as mentioned by Kelly earlier, in the Queensland Small Business Strategy, we're really pleased to see Workforce Evolve program included in that strategy, which is great news, so it'll be continuing. So I'll just go through this slide about today's workforce. So we know from the Business Chamber Queensland quarterly pulse survey of business, as well as from research that's out there, that recruiting and retaining workforce has been the biggest constraint on business in Queensland for the last 6 quarters now, and very likely to continue to be the way. So we also know that the Queensland population will have grown by 10.9% over the 5 years between 20 and 2025, so requiring an additional 280,000 jobs in the state. So despite extremely high workforce participation, there's still a low representation of certain groups in our community. Just 2 examples being 29% of job seekers who have a disability, or job seekers from culturally and linguistically diverse background, which in Queensland is 22.7% of our population. So there's quite significant segments within our community, and it presents an opportunity for employers to make some slight changes in their approach to better engage with these underrepresented groups. Thanks, Kylie. Next slide. Thank you. So looking to the future, Queensland has big things on the horizon. So there's significant investment in infrastructure, workforce required to propel the energy transition and the pathway to the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games. So this will be creating conditions for a perfect storm, really, by bringing both great opportunity, but also great workforce challenges. So further to those stats that Kylie shared earlier about the future skills, it's projected that we'll see $8.1 billion of economic benefits thanks to the Games. But this also will require an additional 91,600 jobs in what's already a competitive labour market. And with seeing that population growth by a further 10% to 2030, there's also going to be a shift in the demographics as baby boomers approach retirement, and we see a 30% increase in people aged over 65. So the bottom line to all that is the community is going to look very different in the next decade, and the labour force is likely to remain very competitive. So employers are going to need to do what they can to attract the widest segment of job seekers possible, which includes engaging with underrepresented groups. So these groups include women who may be carers or in situations of domestic violence, First Nations, people with disability, culturally and linguistically diverse and multicultural members of the community, the LGBTQ and mature age workers in our community. So Workforce Evolve provides some building blocks and coaching to help make the adjustments required to recruitment and retention practices. Thank you. So just on this slide, we're talking about getting ready for success. So in this challenging employment market, there is an opportunity for employers to rethink their attraction and retention strategies. So Workforce Evolve provides a great starting point to build some capability around that and set yourself up for success. Particularly for those smaller businesses without a dedicated HR support, it really does step you through each of those steps. So it takes you through creating or revising your employer brand so that you can become an employer of choice, which is so important in today's tight labour market. Understanding your market and your competitors to see what sets yourself apart from the rest in your industry. And Workforce Evolve can assist you define or revise your employer brand, assisting in planning your recruitment strategy and workforce needs. So considering how effective your recruitment strategy is, thinking about why people would like to join your business or why people are leaving it, so that you can leverage the strengths and weaknesses of those. Gain a greater understanding of your workforce needs with tools to help you develop your workforce roadmap, and also to realise the benefits of a diversified workplace and contributing to your ESG outcomes. So in today's market, being able to articulate your business ESG practices, so your environmental, social governance, is becoming increasingly important, particularly in the procurement space as reporting requirements for larger organisations kick in. This is going to have a flow-on impact to smaller businesses in their supply chain. And Workforce Evolve can really demonstrate how you're engaging with the social aspects of ESG. Next slide, thanks, Kylie. So Workforce Evolve can benefit you by not only providing this foundation to build capability, but also by being supported by the free coaching, which helps you put concepts into practice that are customised to your needs. So there's 6 self-paced modules which take less than an hour to complete, and I'll just give you a quick overview of them. They can be done in order, or you can select the most relevant to you. So the first one is business planning, which takes you through applying a diversity and inclusion lens to your strategic planning, including creating or refreshing your business plan, workforce plan, talent and retention strategies, and taking through how to remove those barriers to employment. The second one is employer branding. So using the information from the first module to understand how to set yourself apart as an employer of choice in the job market by showing a strong employee value proposition and how you embed that through the employee life cycle to support your workforce. The third one is workforce design. So that starts with workforce planning basics and a great starting place for those who haven't done a workforce plan before. Collaborating with the IWAs, who we heard from earlier, to refer employers who are looking for more detailed workforce planning, and also referring to Wayne's great programs there that he's just outlined if people want to take that further to get onto that micro-credential level. So this module also covers job design, inclusive recruitment and onboarding practices. The fourth one is empowering frontline managers and leaders with the tools and resources they need to understand their responsibilities. So important to understand their performance management, inclusive recruitment strategies, and the benefits of completing a D&I needs analysis. Then moving on to ways to manage workplace change with strategies to manage and deliver transformational change in the workplace. Benefits, how to cope with resistance to that change, and shifting mindsets to embrace that change. And the final module ends with employment law essentials, which again, so important, covers the legislation, best practice consultation, and tips on how to right size. So if once all the modules are completed, I think if you click on that, Kylie, our little verification should click in, hopefully. There we go. If you complete all the modules, you do get a Workforce Evolve verified logo that you can include on your website or your email signature to show in the market that you have gone through this program and considered these issues. Next slide, thanks, Kylie. So building your future fit workforce. We know businesses are overwhelmed and busy, as we've heard from everyone today. So we've created relevant and engaging content, but with some practical resources. So Workforce Evolve would help you get started. You can learn in your own time, or we are scheduling facilitated workshops. What we found so far in the delivery is some people prefer to do self-paced online, other people prefer to join an online webinar at a particular time. So we're now offering the modules in both those ways. You can assess practical and relevant content, resources and templates. As mentioned, you can access the business coaching, which is tailored specifically to your business needs, and also access to our referral partner network who specialise in diversity sectors and can provide further information regarding workforce D&I training or recruitment services and more. So I think, do we have one more slide with a QR code? No. Okay, I will send you. Oh, there we go. It popped up. So yeah, you can scan the QR code or email us to find out more. Feel free to reach out to myself or Isabella at any time. And I'll now pass back to Kylie to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of the speakers, Louise, Wayne and Kelly, as well as Ellie from LGAQ. It has hopefully been an informative morning for everyone who has taken the time out of your busy schedule to learn more about all of the free services, tools and resources that are available to support small businesses across Queensland. Please feel free to keep in contact with any of us. As I stated at the start, we will send a copy of the presentation out. It has been recorded, so you do have access to it after this. If you wanted to keep in contact with Jobs Queensland, we do have an e-news, as do all of the organisations that have presented today. So if you're not already linked with any of us on LinkedIn, most of us have Twitter as well as organisations, and we all have our e-news. So please subscribe so that we can keep in contact with you and tell you about the resources, but also the other work that the organisations are doing to provide support to regions, to councils and to businesses across the state. As hopefully you picked up that we do have a collaborative approach between the organisations, and we try and share information between so that we're all working together to make sure that we're providing relevant services to you, and where possible at the favourite price for all businesses and councils, which is free where we can. No one turns down free tools and resources when they're available. So if you think that we need to be working on anything else or focusing on something that can support you, please do get in touch. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time this morning. We do really appreciate having you here, and reach out if you've got any questions. That's all from us. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, Kylie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Carly. Bye-bye.